Well, hello and happy holidays. It's that beautiful time of the year where decorations go up, families get together, you start shopping for everyone in your life and not having any money left. What a joyous time. But this can also be a time where your foster or adopted child may have some really big emotions going on. Really, for anyone, holidays bring up memories, and those memories bring up emotions that can be good or they can be negative. I know for many people who have lost a loved one in their life, the holidays can be a really difficult time to get through where you remember those good times with them, but you really miss them. And so it's completely understandable why for our foster and adoptive kiddos, we may see that they really struggle with this season. And this is especially true if this is the first holiday season you are ever spending with your foster or adopted child. So today I'm going to share with you what you should absolutely not do if you want your holidays with your foster or adopted child to go smoothly. So grab your turkey, grab your presents, and let's jump in. Hey there, if you're new here, my name is Katie, and if you're not new here, welcome back. I'm so happy to see you here again. For those of you who do not know, I'm an adoption consultant and I work with families from all over the country who are looking to adopt waiting children from foster care. If that is something you are interested in, I would absolutely love to work with you. You can always check the link in the description below to look at having a meeting with me online where I can answer all of your questions. We can talk through all of your concerns. Now let's jump into today's topic, what not to do during the holiday season with your foster or adopted child. Number one is do not expect your child to be happy and grateful the entire time. And yes, we all want to teach our children to be thankful and to have manners and to be polite. And we want the holiday season to be enjoyable for everyone. And oftentimes, a lot of us have dreamed of the holiday season and what it would be like to share that with our children. And so we can end up putting some high expectations on how our children are going to react to certain things. And the truth is, just emotionally and maturity-wise, our kids just might not be there. They might be struggling. They might be dealing with some difficult memories or missing people in their biological family that they haven't seen in a really long time. They're not going to be happy and grateful the entire time. And if we can go into the season expecting that, then things will just be better. Do not expect them to just be overjoyed and happy and in a good mood the whole time, because chances are you will be disappointed. And it's just not realistic. And I just don't think it's that reasonable to expect that from anyone, but let alone kids who are walking through this really difficult season. Number two of what absolutely not to do is do not overwhelm them with too many gifts. I understand we love our kids. We want to give them things. We want to give them good gifts. We want to make sure that they have the Christmas they've never had before and that they're given all these things and they're not wanting for anything. But the truth is, the more presents they get, the more overwhelmed they will feel. And some of this you are not going to have as much control over. There are some family friends and family members who are going to try to get your child a lot of things. I recommend talking to those people ahead of time, because if your child is not used to getting much or not used to getting really anything for Christmas, it can be very shocking and overwhelming and make them feel like they have to put on this like gratitude song and dance for everyone involved, and they just may not feel comfortable with that yet. So if you can avoid getting them too much stuff, having too many things to open, and avoid your family and friends getting them way too much stuff, that is such a good idea. I highly recommend giving experience gifts where you can spend time with them. I would also recommend that for family and friends. Like if you're adopting a child and they're new to your family, maybe you can suggest to aunts and uncles and things that want to give your child something that they take that child out to go to an activity or to go to a park together or to go see a movie or something where they're going to get to spend some quality time, because that is often what kids really want more than toys and stuff. I know our kids' first Christmas, our family absolutely loved them and welcomed them and gave them so many presents that it was an extremely overwhelming process to open them all at once. I wish we had sat down and done two separate present openings, because it was a lot and it was all coming from a good place, but I saw that my kids were overwhelmed by it. And so, if you can avoid that, do it. The next thing is to not overwhelm your kid with too many activities. Now, I am the person who loves to go see the Nutcracker. I love to go see A Christmas Carol. I love to go to the fun, Christmas town events. But the truth is, you do not want to sign up for all of it. I would say pick like 2 things that your family would really love to do, something you'd love to share with the kids, and take them to do those things. If those go really, really, really well, and the child is showing interest in doing other things, sure, go to some other things. But some kids could get extremely overstimulated going from Christmas activity to Christmas activity to Christmas activity. And so you want to make sure that you're not packing your schedule too full, especially if your kids are newer to your home. If this is like the very first holiday they've ever been with you, again, you may find that they are triggered by some things like even hearing certain Christmas songs or certain Christmas foods or memories that can come up. And since we're on the overwhelm train of things not to overwhelm your children with, you also don't want to overwhelm your kids with too many new people at once. Obviously, the holidays are a time where we get together with our extended family. Many of us look forward to that and being able to see them if we live far away. I'm not saying don't get together with your family. I am saying if there's a way to help your child meet some of these people before they walk into a room with 30 of your friends and family that they've never met before, I would highly recommend you do that, whether that's over a Zoom call or FaceTime, or if they live closer, if you can get together. If there's a way they can get to know at least a few of those people before they go, it will help them feel less overwhelmed and to feel like they have people they can go to who they already know a little bit about rather than everyone being a stranger to them. And the next thing is very related. So we don't want to overwhelm them with too many people, but we also don't want to expect them to participate in everything, even if they're struggling. So I know that with friends and family, when we're together for holidays, there can be a lot of expectations of we all are sitting at the table together and then we're all doing this activity or game together and we're all going to do this or that and everyone needs to be here with us the whole time. However, your child is likely going to need some downtime. And I don't care if that child is a 2-year-old or 15. The chances are, no matter what, they're going to need some sort of downtime and some time to get out of kind of that overwhelming experience where they don't know many people. And I'm going to bring up the next one because this goes along with it. So you do not want to blindside your family members with the reactions that your child may have during these holiday celebrations. So not only do you need to learn these things, but you also need to share that with maybe your parents or brothers and sisters who are going to be around so that they understand that your child may not be all sunshine and roses that day, and they may not react to things the way we would want them to or we would think that they would. So you need to understand that, but you also need to help your family. And part of that is whoever is hosting this family event, let's say it's not at your house, it's at your parents' house or your brother or sister's house. I highly, highly recommend that before that day, you talk to whoever is hosting and you just explain, hey, our kid is really still adjusting to things. They're excited about coming, but they're also very nervous. I just want to let you know that there might be times where they need to step away. They need a moment to themselves. Is there a room within the house? Maybe it's in the basement. Maybe there's a bedroom, that like a guest room. Is there a space that I could set aside to either go to with them or allow them to go to on their own if they want some time away from the crowd of all these people they don't really know? And hopefully your family will be sensitive to that and will understand and will say yes. If not, that is a different story and you're going to have to try to either push for that more or you might have to decide that you're just not going to stay as long as you normally would. But hopefully most of your families will be accommodating to that and will say, oh, sure, we can set aside this little space and we could put some books in there or you could bring some of their toys, something where if they need to get away, they can. I remember with one of my kids, the very first Thanksgiving we had, they were really excited before we got there. And then when we got there, just a complete mood shift and completely sad and completely upset and didn't want to be a part of us praying for the meal, didn't want to be a part of even like sitting at the table, didn't really want to be a part of the family photo. There was just a lot of emotion going on. And when I pulled them aside and we talked, I just found out that they were just really, really missing other people in their lives that they used to live with, that used to take care of them. And, at first it was easy before I knew that to be frustrated. Like, why is this child being difficult? Why are they not being like kind to these new family members who are so excited to be with them? And I really realized the error of my ways there because this was a very emotional holiday. It's one that we spend with family. And for my kids, this was their new family. They weren't people that they had already met. And so I made the mistake of kind of anticipating that, you know, they were going to just be happy and excited. But thankfully I was able to course correct, and we did find a space in the house where they could go and hang out, and I just let them do their thing. I spent some time with them, and eventually they came back and they had a good time, but they just needed that space. So if you can give that space, highly recommend it. It will be so helpful. I think it will mean a lot to your kids that you're anticipating their needs and giving them that space to be alone if they need it. And tied to this as well, I keep saying, I'm like, this is tied to this, but they're all kind of tied together. You don't want to make their emotional response about you. So if you give them a present and they do not react in maybe the way you had hoped, it's not about you. It's not about them not liking you or whatever. It's so often about feelings that are going on inside of them, and complex feelings where they're happy to be with you, but they feel maybe like torn loyalty. Why are they happy to be here if they're not with their other family? And the holidays remind us of our family. And so we just need to step aside, let our ego step aside and say, okay, these kids may not react the way that I think they will or that I would hope they would, but it's not about me. It's about them, and what can I do to serve and love them right where they are. I've honestly lost track. I don't even know what number we're on now, but the next one is that you don't want to be really pushy with your traditions on them without also asking them about some of their favorite holiday traditions, or asking them if they have any ideas for fun family traditions you could start together. Every family does holidays differently. I know that when Nick and I first got married and I did Christmas with his family, I was like, oh wow, they do things a little bit differently. Like their Christmas Eve meal was a little more fancy than what I would be used to. And they didn't open any presents on Christmas Eve. They opened all of them on Christmas morning. And in my family, we'd have more like appetizers and desserts on Christmas Eve, and we would open some presents the night before and some presents in the morning. And, you know, his family, they would open stockings. Like the kids could just open them as soon as they woke up. In my family, we waited until my parents were also up and we had to open them in front of them. So there, you know, every family has their different traditions, and it's really easy to prefer the things that you are used to. And so our kids, of course, are going to have those same types of opinions. There may be kids who have positive Christmas memories despite being in, you know, maybe an abusive environment or an environment that they weren't cared for well. They can still have positive memories. And so you may find that they can be really resistant to all of your traditions because that's not how they have done Christmas in the past. And they want to have a say. So I highly recommend if you ask them, hey, what were some of your favorite Christmas traditions when you were living with your biological parents or even with a foster home? Were there any Christmas traditions that you really love or ones you'd like to start? Just giving them a voice in that, if they're old enough, you know, if they're an older child, that means a lot. And even if they say, no, I don't really have any good memories of that or things that I'd want to do, you know, come up with something together. Say, well, let's come up with something new and exciting that we could do, and it could be our family thing. We could all do it together. And just like express how excited you are to include them in on your traditions, and you can even explain some of them and ask them if any of those sound fun to them or if there's any that they're not as comfortable with. Just having that conversation and opening it up can mean a lot. And last but not least, if you can avoid it, now there are a lot of situations where you cannot avoid this. If you can avoid it, I do not usually recommend to people that their children move in right before Christmas, because that transition from, you know, a foster home to an adoptive home or foster home to another foster home can be extremely emotionally challenging. And the holidays are already so emotionally charged and challenging. So if you're adopting a waiting child from foster care and you can advocate to maybe be able to spend Christmas with them, but save the move-in until Christmas is over, there could be some good in that. It could be complicated either way, but I generally recommend that you don't like rush a placement during that time. Now, if you've been getting to know them for months and months, I know I have in my private Facebook group that I run called Adopt Together, we have a friend in there who has recently been meeting with her daughter over like quite a long period of time. They've visited her many times and she's going to come visit them. She's going to spend Christmas with them. And so she will, I don't know if she'll be moving in by then, but it'll be, you know, around that time. And I think in some situations that's different. That's a teenager who's really excited about this next step, understands that they're being adopted, they want to be adopted, and they're looking forward to spending Christmas with her. There are situations where it's fine. So I don't want to say never do it, but I just want to say that in general, I know when we were in the adoption process and waiting, I kind of naively was like, oh my gosh, I really hope that we get a kid like by Christmas. Like maybe we'll have a kid in our home right before Christmas and that would be perfect. And then I think back now to our very first Christmas with all three of our kids, and it was the first Christmas where they were all together, and it was the hardest Christmas we have ever experienced. It was also so great. Like I loved decorating the tree with them. I loved going and doing Christmas activities. I loved it, but it was a super emotionally charged Christmas and probably the hardest Christmas I've ever had, hands down. So I think it's smart to walk into Christmas with our foster and adoptive kids, assuming that it may be a little harder than we expect. It may not be all sunshine and rainbows and shiny wrapped up gifts. There might be some pain, some hurt, some tough conversations, maybe some unmet expectations on your part, but hopefully these tips of what not to do will help you know what to do. I tried to give the contrast there so that you wouldn't just be told, well, don't do this and not give you anything else. So hopefully that will help you. By the time this video goes up, tomorrow is Thanksgiving. So happy Thanksgiving. I hope that you have a wonderful time with family and friends. And since you made it all the way to the end of the video, that means you're my favorite. Don't tell the others. And what I like to do every so often is do a secret question for the people who make it all the way to the end so I can see who my real friends are, you know, the ones who make it all the way to the end of the video. So today's secret question is, what is one thing you're thankful for this year? So go ahead and tell me that in the comments. And I guess I'll share my thing that I'm super thankful for this year is that I have had more time. I've been able to stay home and work from home and do more adoption consulting. And I just love this work. I love helping families. I'm just so thankful to God for giving me this platform and for growing this like kind of out of nothing. Just the fact that I get to hang out with so many of you guys from across the country and hear and be a part, like a small part of your adoption journey is just, it's such a blessing to me. It's such a privilege, and it's just something I'm thankful for every day. So on that note, I'm gonna go. Don't forget to like the video if you enjoyed it and subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed. We're inching our way up to 10,000 subscribers. I'd love to get there this year. I just think that'd be fun. So I hope you're having an amazing day, and I will see you next week.